Hello everyone and very good afternoon to all. So welcome to the today's session, and in today's class we will be learning about the one of the interesting chapter of our syllabus, which is theoretical probability distribution. Yes guys, today is our new topic, which is theoretical probability distribution. So welcome everyone to the today's session. So we are having Ujjwal on the call, Dhaneshwari, Azil, Kaneshka, Pranjal, Vizappu Juhi. Good afternoon, everyone. So, so it's very much interesting again to see you all here on the session. So let us begin with the today's chapter. So it is theoretical probability distribution, also known as theoretical frequency distribution. Now, what does this chapter want to teach us? What this chapter want to teach us? This chapter want to teach us like what is the theoretical probability. That means the probability which is estimated, the probability which is estimated, or the frequency which is estimated based on some scientific formula, that is based on the probability, right? So here we are going to calculate probability as well as frequency with some scientific calculations, with some scientific formulas, right? For example, let us take one simple example. If we are tossing, if we are tossing 100 coins, right? We are tossing 100 coins. Then how many coins we will get heads, and on how many coin we will get tails, all right? We are tossing 100 coins, all right? On how many of them we will get head, and on how many of them we will get tail. Yes. So guys, can you answer this? That's a very simple question. We are tossing 100 coins. On how many coins we will get head, and on how many coins we will get tail. So the answer can be varied from person to person. Some may get like 40 heads and 60 tails. Some may get 45 heads and 55 tails. Some may get 56 heads and 44 tails, and so on. So whenever we are trying to toss something, when we are trying to do some experiment, we might get different results, but theoretically on an average, what is the result? So here we are calculating theoretically. We are not tossing practically 100 coins, but theoretically how many heads we will get and how many tails we are getting. So this concept is simply based on the topic probability. So in the chapter probability, you have learned like what is the basic formula: total number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes, favorable divided by total. So when we toss a coin, what is the probability of getting head? The probability of getting head is 1 by 2. Similarly, the probability of getting tail is also 1 by 2. This we already know. Now, when we are tossing the coin 100 times, then how many times head will appear? The answer is simple. 100 multiplied by half. 100 multiplied by half. That means in 50 cases, we are getting heads. And again, in 50 cases, we are getting tails. This is not the actual probability. This is not the actual frequency. This is known as the theoretical frequency, right? Which is based on the probability chapter, and it is based on the scientific formula. Practically, we might get the different answer, but this is on an average answer, right? Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So welcome on the board. Vansh is there, Reshu, Kanishka, Dechu, Pushpa, Ranga, Akash, Manpreet. Yes. So Gajendra is also there. Gajendra wants Hindi explanation. Yes. We will be discussing in both the language, and our today's topic is basically the binomial distribution. So let us discuss this thing once again in Hindi. So यहाँ पर हमने 100 कॉइन्स को टॉस किया, और जब हम 100 कॉइन्स को टॉस करते हैं तो क्या रिजल्ट आएगा? तो प्रैक्टिकली कुछ भी रिजल्ट आ सकता है, बट थ्योरेटिकली जब हम बात करते हैं तो 50 केसेस के अंदर हेड्स मिलेगा एंड 50 केसेस में हमें टेल्स मिलेगा. नाउ व्हाट इज द फॉर्मूला बिहाइंड दिस? यहां पर फॉर्मूला क्या है? द फॉर्मूला सेज theoretical frequency is equal to number of experiments multiplied with probability. Theoretical frequency is simply equal to number of events or number of experiments multiplied by probability. तो यहां पर हमने 100 कॉइन्स को टॉस किया है, मल्टीप्लाई बाय द प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ गेटिंग हेड 1/2. सो कितना आ गया? 50 heads. Similarly, tails आने के chances भी कितने? 1/2. So 100 multiplied by half is again 50. Right? Similarly, we can take one more simple example. Yes, welcome, Smith. So similarly, we can take one more example that is based on dice. Let's say we are tossing 30 dice. We are throwing or tossing 30 dice. Now, on how many dice we will get number 1? On how many dice we will get number 1? So answer is very simple. We are doing 30 experiments multiplied by the probability of getting number 1 on the dice. So what is the probability of getting number 1 on the dice? It is 1/6. It is 1/6. That means we will get number 1 on 5 dices. In total, we have thrown 30 dices. On 5, we will get number 1. Similarly, number 2, 30 multiplied by. So what is the probability of getting number 2 on the dice? It is again 1/6. So we will get again 5. So and so on. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, 5 as well as 6. So for each and every number, we will get the result as 5. All right. So this is the basic concept of the chapter theoretical frequency distribution. Okay, great. Now we are discussing about how this chapter is getting divided, or how the theoretical frequency distribution topic is getting divided. In case of theoretical frequency distribution, there is one part which is known as discrete. And the second one is for continuous. First part is for discrete and second is for continuous. Under the heading discrete, we are having two kinds of distribution. Under discrete, we are having two types of distribution. One is binomial and second one is Poisson. One is binomial and second one is Poisson. Under continuous, we are having normal distribution. We are having normal distribution. Then second one is chi-square distribution. Chi-square distribution. Third one is T distribution, and the last fourth one is F distribution. So these are the four distribution under the head continuous. All right. So in this chapter, we have to study binomial, Poisson, and normal. These three are in our syllabus. All right. So first of all, in today's session, we will be discussing about the binomial distribution. In tomorrow's session, we will be discussing Poisson distribution, and in day after tomorrow's session, we will be discussing normal distribution. All right. So let us begin with the binomial distribution. So what is the binomial distribution, and who gave this binomial distribution? So let us read from this module first. One of the most important and frequently used discrete probability distribution. Binomial is known as the one of the most important and frequently used probability distribution. So this line came into exam many a times. Like in statistics, we are having many questions theoretical. Like out of 40, 10 to 15 questions can be of theoretical nature. So such kind of questions are asked in exam, and these questions are very much easy. So out of these two discrete distribution, binomial and Poisson, binomial is frequently used. So it is derived from particular type of random experiment, which is known as the Bernoulli process, named after the mathematician Jacob Bernoulli. So in short, binomial distribution was given by Jacob Bernoulli. Binomial distribution was given by Jacob Bernoulli. Now, what Jacob Bernoulli says? Jacob Bernoulli says we have to do some trials, we have to do some experiments. We have to do some experiments, and how many times we have to perform the experiment, that is the main things. So let us say if we perform our experiment n number of times, what is the first condition which the Jacob Bernoulli gave? We have to perform n trials or n experiment. We are performing n trials or n experiment. Now this n should be what? N is always a positive number. N is always a positive number. Like we just took the example of coin. We are tossing 5 coins. We are tossing 10 coins. Can we toss minus 2 coins? Can we toss minus 4 coins? No, it is not possible. So always number of trials is positive. Number of trials is positive. Also, number of trials will be a whole number. It will be a whole number. It will be an integral value. That means we are tossing 2 coins, 3 coins, 4 coins, but not 2.25 coins. We cannot toss the coin in decimals. We cannot toss 1.5 coins. We cannot toss 9.6 coins. All right. We can always toss in the whole numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Right. And also, this n should be a finite value. N is always a finite value. Finite can be anything, any number which is countable, or we can say which is not infinite. All right. So the first condition which Jacob Bernoulli gave is n, that is the number of trials, should be positive. It should be a whole number, and it should be a finite value. All right. Now the second condition, the trials which we are performing is having some outcomes, and those outcomes must be independent. Outcomes must be independent. Outcomes are independent. So here we were talking about coin. So on tossing a coin, what are the outcomes which we are getting? We are getting head or we are getting tails. If head is coming, tail will not come. If tail is coming, then head will not come. That means these two outcomes are mutually exclusive and independent. These two outcomes are mutually exclusive and independent. So we can also write as mutually exclusive. That means only one at a time will appear. Similarly, on throwing a dice, if number 1 is coming, remaining numbers will not come. If number 5 is coming, then again remaining numbers will not come. So events are mutually exclusive as well as independent. This is the second condition for Bernoulli trial, or we can say binomial distribution. Then the third one. Now here we are having only 2 outcomes. How many outcomes we will get? Only 2 outcomes. And what are those outcomes? We can simply divide them as success and failure. We can divide those outcomes as success and failure. So success is denoted by small p. Success is denoted by small p, and failure is denoted by q. Failure is denoted by Q. Okay. All right. Okay, so some of you are asking about the weightage of this chapter. This chapter is having on an average 4 to 5 marks of weightage. Sometimes 6 questions are asked, sometimes 4 to 5 questions. So on an average, you can take as 5. Okay, so 5 questions normally comes from this chapter. That means including binomial, Poisson, as well as the normal distribution. All right. Yes, Bernoulli and binomial both are same. So this is the third condition. That means there are two outcomes. One is success and second one is failure. And the fourth one, since there are two outcomes and these two outcomes are exhaustive. These outcomes are exhaustive. Exhaustive means their total of probability is equal to 1. Total of their probability is equal to 1. So probability of success plus probability of failure is equal to 1. In short, we can say that P plus Q is equal to 1. Or we can write it as P is equal to 1 minus Q. Similarly, we can also write as Q is equal to 1 minus P. Q is equal to 1 minus P. So this is the basic condition for binomial distribution. All right. So this is the basic condition which we must understand by heart, which we have to remember. So what is the first condition? That is the number of trials, which is repeated n number of times. This n should be a positive number, whole number, and a finite number. Then the outcomes are independent of each other. And also they are mutually exclusive. So there are two outcomes. One is success and second one is failure. And their probability is exhaustive. That means P plus Q is always equal to 1. Right? So these are the 4 conditions given by Bernoulli. Now let us discuss some of the properties here. So the value of P always lies from 0 to 1. P lies from 0 to 1. Similarly, value of Q lies from 0 to 1. If P is 0, then Q becomes 1. And if Q is 0, then P becomes 1. And also their total is also equal to 1. All right. Now, binomial distribution is known as biparametric distribution. This is again the repetitive question in our exam. So we have to remember this. Binomial distribution is known as biparametric distribution. Now, what is this biparametric distribution? Biparametric means, bi means 2. Parametric means parameters. So in binomial distribution, we are having 2 parameters. And what are those 2 parameters? One is n and second one is p. N and p, these are the 2 parameters of binomial distribution. Now, what these parameters do? If we known the value of n and p, that means we can find anything. We can find mean for the distribution. We can find standard deviation for the distribution. We can find variance for the distribution, and also we can find the probability. All right. That means if value of n and p is given, we can find each and every required thing for the given distribution. That means n and p are the parameters. So these 2 values are must for getting the details about the binomial distribution. Okay, so binomial is a biparametric distribution. Now let us write some of the formulas here which are important in the today's session. So we are writing the formula for binomial distribution. We are writing formula for binomial distribution. And formulas are very, very easy. Formulas are very much easy. The first formula says mean. First formula is for mean. Here, mean is denoted by mu. Mean can be written as mu. Now, what is the formula? The formula says n multiplied by p. N multiplied by p. What is n? N means number of trials and p is the probability of success. Second, if we have to calculate standard deviation, or we can say variance, first of all, we will find variance. If we have to calculate the variance, and variance can be written as neta square. What is the formula? The formula says NPQ. We have to multiply N, P, and Q. Third one is standard deviation. Standard deviation is simply the square root of variance. So we can write it as root of NPQ. So it is square root of variance. And next one is the fourth formula for calculation of probability. So for calculation of probability, what we have to do, probability is equal to NCX p to the power of x and multiply by q to the power of n minus x. Q to the power of n minus x. So these are the four formula. All right. So mean, variance, standard deviation, and probability. Great. Now, what is the meaning of these numbers? Like if we say n, n means number of trials. P is known as probability of success. Q is known as probability of failure, and X. X is known as the required number. X is known as the required number. What we have to find out, what we have to calculate, that is denoted by X. That is denoted by X. Okay. Now, let us take some example based on these formulas so that our concept will get 100% crystal clear. So, let's take one example. If we are tossing, let's say 60 dice. If we are tossing 60 dice, what is the mean? What is the mean for getting number 6? What is the mean for getting number 6? So since we have to find out mean, the formula for mean is n multiplied by p. So what is n? We are throwing 60 dices, or we can say that we are throwing a dice 60 times, one and the same thing. So n is 60. Now, what is the probability for getting number 6 on the dice? It is simply 1 upon 6. So what is the mean? Mean is equal to 10. 60 divided by 6, that is 10. Okay. In the same question, if we are required to calculate the variance, then how to calculate? The variance is equal to n p q. N multiplied by p multiplied by q. Now, how to find out the q? So we already know that q is equal to 1 minus p. So if p is 1 by 6, then q becomes 5 by 6. So by applying this concept, we can find out the variance. So 60 multiplied by 1 by 6 and multiplying by 5 by 6. Okay. So now what we are getting? We are getting 10 into 5, 50 divided by 6. This is the variance. All right. This is the variance. If we have to calculate, let's say standard deviation, what we have to do? Root of NPQ. That means root of 60 multiplied by 1 by 6 multiplied by 5 by 6. So what would be the answer? It will be simply root of 50 upon 6. 50 upon 6. Great. So many of you have given the correct answer. That's good going. Priyanka, Rajri, Soumya, Manisha, Smith, Roshita. Yes, guys, your answer is correct. Yes, Manpreet, I will give you. Don't worry. Okay. So I think till here, everything is clear. All right. Is there any other doubt till here? So that we will proceed towards the calculation of probability in case of binomial distribution. Shania says, can we copy? Yeah, sure. You can copy it down. And also you can take some of the screenshots so that you can copy down after the session also. All right. So I think till here, you are having all the concept clear. So we have calculated mean, we have computed variance, we have computed standard deviation. Now it's the time to calculate the main thing, which is probability. How to calculate probability in case of binomial distribution. Now let us take the example for probability. Okay. So here we are taking the example of 6 coins. We are having 6 coins. So when we toss 6 coins, then on how many coins we will get head. All right, this kind of situation which we have discussed. Now the question says, if we are tossing 6 coins, what is the probability of getting 1 head? If we are tossing 6 coins, what is the probability of getting 1 head? Vishnu Dev is asking about what is variance. See, Vishnu, you might have discussed this variance in the topic dispersion. So it is the square of standard deviation. All right. So here we are supposed to calculate the probability of getting 1 head. So whenever there is a question on probability, so first of all, we have to recall the formula. So what is the formula? The formula says NCX p to the power of x and q to the power of n minus x. Now for applying this formula, we should have 4 values. We should have 4 values. Which one? First is n, second one is p, then q, and last one is x. So we have to find out these 4 values first. Now what is n? N means number of experiments, number of trials. So how many coins we are tossing here? We are tossing 6 coins. So n is equal to 6. N is equal to 6. Then what is the probability of what? Of getting head. Now here we have to only think about head, not 1 head, 2 head, 3 head, only about head. So what are the chances of getting head? It is simply 1 by 2. Similarly, what are the chances of not getting head? That is q. Q is always computed as 1 minus p. So if p is half, q is also half. and x means the required number. So what is our requirement? Our requirement is getting one head. So this one is x. This one is basically the x. Now let us put the values and solve the question. So n is 6. We will write 6c1, then p 1 upon 2 to the power of 1, and then 1 by 2 to the power of 6 minus 1. In this way, we can apply the values. Now, what is 6c1? It is simply 6 multiplied by 1 by 2 to the power of 6. So, how much we are getting? We are getting 6 by 64. Or we can also write as 3 by 32. 3 by 32. All right. So this is the answer. Pooja says, thank you so much for making it easy to understand. That's great, Pooja. You're understanding great. Thank you so much. So this is the first example which we have taken. We are tossing 6 coins, and what is the probability of getting one head? It is simply 3 by 32. If there were 2 heads, then what will happen? What is the probability of getting 2 heads? So again, what we have to do? N is same 6. Probability for getting head is half. Probability of not getting head is also half. And then x. X is simply 2. X is simply 2. So again, we have to put the values. 6c2, 1 by 2 to the power of 2, and then again 1 by 2 to the power of 4. So what is 6c2? It is 6 into 5 divided by 2, and then 1 by 2 to the power of 6. The final result is 15 upon 64. 15 divided by 64. All right. Okay, Akash is having some confusion on the power. See, Akash, here we have written the power 1, and here it is the power 5. 6 minus 1 is 5. So when the base are same, we add the powers. So 1 by 2, 1 by 2, these are the bases. Base are same. So we have added the power 1 plus 5, that is 6. All right. Similarly, here also, power 2 and power 4. The total becomes 6. Since base is same, that's why we are adding the powers. Manish is asking about how we are getting half. See, Manish, the question is about coin. So whenever the question is about coin, we are talking about getting heads and tails. So when a coin is tossed, there are 2 outcomes. One is head and one is tail. So what is the probability of getting head? So out of these 2 outcomes, one is favorable. So probability of getting head is 1 by 2. Similarly, probability of getting tail is also 1 by 2. So that is why we have written 1 by 2 and 1 by 2 on P. Similarly, if there is a question on dice, then what would be P and Q? So in case of dice, we know that there are 6 outcomes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if we are talking about, let's say, probability of getting number 1 on the dice, so the probability will be 1 by 6. So this may be denoted as P, the probability of success. Then what about the other one? Not getting number 1 on the dice. Not getting number 1, that is Q, is equal to 1 minus 1 by 6, which becomes 5 by 6. So in this way, we have to calculate P and Q. P and Q. Smith is asking about what is the difficulty level of this topic. See, Smith, this chapter is actually not much difficult. If we understand all the basic concepts thoroughly, this chapter becomes very much easy. But if we don't focus on the basic formulas and the basic concept, the chapter will become automatically difficult. So it depends on our perception, like how we are attending any of the chapter. Okay, Monica is asking about how we will know this is binomial distribution. See, Monica, here we will be discussing all these two distribution one by one. So when we will discuss, you will get to know that all these distributions are having different conditions. So after going through all the conditions, you will be able to identify the question, what kind of conditions are applicable, and accordingly, we can apply that concept or formula. All right. Let us move further. Again, we are tossing 6 points. Now, this time, the question is a bit different. Let us understand. Now, what is our requirement? What is the probability of getting at least one head? What is the probability of getting at least one head? Now, again, we have to find out the value of n, x, p, and q. So n we already know, 6 points we are tossing. P is there 1 by 2. Q is also 1 by 2. But what about x? X means what? The requirement. What is our requirement? At least one head. At least one का मतलब है कम से कम एक head तो आना ही चाहिए. Minimum one head is required. That means if one is minimum, then more can also occur. Then 2 can come, 3 can come, 4, 5, and 6. But maximum can be 6 because we are tossing 6 coins. So maximum 6 heads can appear. So more than 6 is not possible. So our requirement is at least one head. So we have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, how to solve such kind of questions? See, there are two ways to solve this question. One is very, very lengthy, another one is shortcut. So what is the lengthy method? The lengthy method says we have to add what? We have to add probability of x equal to 1 plus probability of x equal to 2 and so on up to the probability of x equal to 6. If we add all these, we will get our result. But this method is very much lengthy. So what is the other method? Since we know that the events are exhaustive and the total of whole probability is equal to 1. The total of all the events is equal to 1. So we know that x can be 0, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it's the total of probability is equal to 1. But our requirement is only from 1 to 6. Our requirement is from 1 to 6. So we can transfer this 0 onto other side. We can transfer 0 on other side. So what will happen? There will be probability of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on one side. And on other side, it will be 1 minus probability of x equal to 0. So these are the two different methods. And by using these two methods, we will get the same result. This is the first method. And this is the second method. The first method says add all the probabilities from 1 to 6. Second method says simply reduce the probability of x equal to 0 from 1 and we will get the result. So finally, whenever we are asked about at least one, so our answer will be probability of none. At least one, that means probability of none. at least 1 means probability of none, and none means x equal to 0. So what we are doing here, 1 minus 6c0, 1 by 2 to the power of 0, and 1 by 2 to the power of 6. All right. So what will happen? 1 minus 1 upon 64. That is 63 by 64. 63 upon 64. All right. So this is the correct answer. Yes, Vinayak Pamar has given this answer. That's great. Priyanka Mishra has also given the correct answer. All right. So this is the concept which we have to use in binomial distribution. So you have to make clear what is n, x, p, and q. After that, you can solve it easily. So this concept is now clear, I think so. So now you can easily try this example number 1 that says a coin is tossed 10 times. So what is this 10? This 10 is n. Assuming the coin to be unbiased, what is the probability of getting 4 heads? We have to find out the probability of 4 heads. So what is 4? This 4 is x. All right. This is in the first case. P and Q we already know. Whenever it is about coin, P and Q is half and half. Now in second case, what is happening? Second case is saying about at least 4 heads. So n is 10 again, but x is at least 4. That means 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the first way to solve the question. We can add the probability of all of them, or what else can be done? 1 minus probability of what is not coming above 0, 1, 2, and 3. We can also do this. 1 minus probability of getting 0, 1, 2, and 3. So both will give the same result. And in the third case, what we have to do? At most 3 heads. At most 3 heads. At most means maximum 3 heads. So it can be less than 3, but it cannot occur more than 3. So less than 3 is possible, but more than 3 is not possible. So we can write as 0, 1, 2, and 3. 0, 1, 2, and 3. All right. Okay, now Dharmendra is asking about how to identify whether to solve question with the help of the chapter probability or this theoretical distribution. See, it's very much easy. In case of probability chapter, you might have done the questions based on 1 coin, 2 coin, 3 coin, that's it. Because when we go further, that means 4 coin, 5 coins, the number of cases are too much. So we cannot write all those cases, and that becomes difficult by using the concept of probability. But when we use this concept of theoretical distribution, so 5 coins or 10 coins, the concept becomes very much easy, and we can solve the question by using the simple formula or the basic formula. Okay, so always you can easily differentiate them. So this is the first example or illustration which you can easily do now. Now let us take the second example. If 15 dates are selected at random, what we are doing? We are selecting 15 dates at random. What is the probability of getting 2 Sundays? So you have to identify the 4 values. We have to identify the 4 values. What is N, X, P, and Q? Come on, guys, you can answer it. What are the four values? Four values कौन कौन सी है? N, X, P, Q. What can we write in N? N means number of trials. So there are 15 dates. N equal to 15. What about X? Out of those 15, we have to select 2 Sundays. So X is equal to 2. Now probability. Now what is the meaning of, what is the probability of getting Sunday? So in a week, we know that there are 7 days and one day, which is Sunday, is favorable. So 1 upon 7 is the probability. And not getting Sunday means 6 upon 7. 6 upon 7. Now we already know all the four things. We can apply the formula 15C2 1 by 7 to the power of 2 and 6 by 7 to the power of 15 minus 2, which is 30. Now you can solve this on your calculator. Okay, you have to try this on your calculator so that in exam you can solve such kind of calculations. So 15C2 is simply 15 into 14 divided by 2. 1 by 7 is 1 by 49 and then multiplied by 6 by 7 to the power of 30. Come on guys, you can solve this. Yes, Lakshmi, you are correct. Srasti is asking about unbiased coin means. See, unbiased coin means which is not correct, like the coin which we had seen in the movie Sholay. Like whenever we toss, only head comes. Whenever we toss, only head comes. That is unbiased coins. So that is the biased coin. And unbiased means the normal coin. That means anything can appear. So unbiased means either head can appear or tail can appear. Both are having equal chances. But when the coin is biased means only one thing will appear, or there are more chances of getting head or more chances of getting tail in that particular coin. Okay. Yes, most of you have given the correct answer. That's great. That's great. Wow. Amazing. Good going. So here you have to solve your calculation on calculator, and while solving, some of you might get error. Some of you might get error in your calculator, because if we calculate the power 13 for 6 or for 7, you might get the error, because our calculator is having only the maximum capacity of 12 digits and it will exceed. So it is better to divide first. You can divide 6 upon 7 first and then calculate the power, so that your calculation will become easy, faster, and no error will appear on the calculator. Okay. So the correct answer is 0.29. Perfect. So all of you have given the correct answer. Soumya, Vishnu, Smith, Priyanka, Shania, Tejas, Ranga. Okay, great. So your answer is 0.29. Now, if I say, if the question have asked about 4 Sundays instead of 2, if the question was for 4 Sundays instead of 2, then what will happen? कहां पर चेंज आएगा if 2 Sundays की places पे 4 Sundays होता, तो question में कहां पर हम change करेंगे? And what would be the answer? Preeti is asking about what is the meaning of C2. See, it is the combination 15C2. If you haven't read the chapter combination, then you must do it first so that you can solve such kind of questions. Pushpa, you cannot use 14-digit calculator, only 12 digits calculator are allowed, and only normal calculators, no scientific calculators, maximum 12 digit with normal functions. All right. So guys, come on, you can answer. If there are 4 Sundays, then what we have to change? Out of 15 days, 4 Sundays, what we have to change? Yes, X will become 4, correct. X will become 4 instead of 2, and rest calculation will remain same. Okay. Simply you have to make the change 4 instead of 2, and rest will all become okay. All right. Now let us do this third example. The incidence of occupational disease in an industry is such that the workmen have 10% chances of suffering from it. So workers are having 10% chances of getting suffered. What is the probability that out of 5 workmen, 3 or more will contact the disease? 3 or more will contact the disease. Okay. So before doing this, there is one doubt. Kanika is asking about probability will become 0 as it is not possible to get 4 Sundays in 15 days. So is this doubt correct or not? Because in the previous question, we are given 15 days. Now in 15 days, 4 Sundays are possible or not? So you have to see each and every word of the statement. It says 15 dates are selected at random. The main word is random. That means we have selected random 15 days. These are not continuous. If they were continuous, then of course 4 Sundays cannot appear. But if they are random 15 days, then even 15 Sundays can appear. So X is equal to 4. That will be correct. Okay, Kanika? X equal to 4 will be correct. Priyanka Gupta, you are asking about the sign before 0.29. So before 0.29, we have kept equal to sign. Okay, I think this sign you are asking about. Yes, this sign shows similar. That means almost 0.29 or approximately 0.29. Right? So this sign which we are talking about, Priyanka, this is approximately 0.29 because the correct answer is 2.8 something. 0.28 and then something, and after rounding off we are getting 0.29. So this is basically almost 0.29, or you can say similar to 0.29. All right, great. So now we were talking about this example number third. So in this third example, what is given, like there are 10% chances of getting suffered from a disease. There are 5 workmen and 3 or more will contact the disease. What is the probability? So from here, we have to again calculate our 4 things. N, X, P, Q. See what is N? There are 5 workers. Okay. What is the requirement? 3 or more will contact the disease. 3 or more means 3, 4, and 5. Since X cannot exceed N, so X will be maximum 5. Now, what is P and Q? So the question said that there are 10% chances of getting suffered. 10% chances of getting suffered. That means probability of getting suffered is 0.1. 10% means 0.1. And what about Q? 1 minus 0.1, it becomes 0.9. 0.9. Now, since x is equal to 3, 4, and 5, so we have to solve for 3, 4, and then 5. To see what will happen, 5c3, then p is 0.1 to the power 3, and q 0.9 to the power of 2, plus 5c4, 0.1 to the power 4, and 0.9 to the power of 1, plus 5c5, 0.1 to the power of 5, and 0.9 to the power of 2. So you can add all these three and solve. So we will get our final result. Yes, Priyanka, your answer is correct. Yes, Kanishka, you are also correct. Great. So now you guys have understood this concept also, how to calculate the probability and how to get all these four values. Good going. So now you can solve this calculation, and after solving, we are getting 0.0086. Yes, guys, correct. Perfect. Now let us move towards a different type of question. Find the probability of success for the binomial distribution satisfying the following relation. What is the relation? 4 into probability of x equal to 4, then p of x equal to 2, and having parameter n as 6. Parameter n is equal to 6. So what is the requirement of the question? Find the probability of success. This means what? P. So we have to find out P. So let us solve this question. Equation says 4 probability x equal to 4 equals probability x equal to 2. All right. So what we have to do here, since n is equal to 6, applying the formula for binomial here, 4 multiplied by 6c4, then p to the power of 4 and q to the power of 2 equal to 6c2, p to the power of 2 and q to the power of 4. So we have applied the formula with the given values. Okay. So what will happen here? 6c4 and 6c2 both are equal. So we can cancel them. Similarly, p square will get cancelled here. Q square also will get cancelled. So we are left with 4 p square is equal to q square. Now what can be done? Taking square root both the sides. Square root on both sides. So it will become 2p is equal to q. 2p is equal to q. Since we have to find out the value of p, so we can write q as 1 minus p. Q can be written as 1 minus p. So 3p is equal to 1 and p becomes 1 by 3. The value of p becomes 1 upon 3. All right. So this is the solution for question number 4. Yes, here it will come 0. You are correct. All right. Now, we are coming towards a different variety of question. 17.5. Such kind of questions are also repetitive, and in each and every exam or alternative exam, such kind of questions appear, and these are very much easy. Find the binomial distribution for mean and standard deviation are 6 and 2 respectively. So mean is given and standard deviation is given. So we have to find out the other values to see what we have to do. Mean, that means n into p is equal to 6, and standard deviation, that is root of npq, is equal to 2. So since root of npq is equal to 2, we can do squaring both sides. So npq becomes 4. npq becomes 4. Now from above, we know that the value of np is equal to 6. So in place of np here, we can write 6. We can write here as 6. So 6q is equal to 4. 6q is equal to 4. So what will be q? 4 upon 6, or we can say 2 by 3. Q is equal to 2 by 3. If q is 2 by 3, what about p? 1 minus 2 by 3, that is 1 by 3. This is p. So in this way, we can calculate p and q. P and q. Okay. Shana is asking about probability can be negative. No, probability can never be negative. The value will lie from 0 to 1. Not less than 0, not more than 1. So here we have find out q and p. Now, if you are supposed to calculate n, then what will be n? So we can put in this equation, np is equal to 6, n multiplied by 1 by 3 is equal to 6. This implies n is equal to 18. N will be 18. So we can calculate each and everything. N, P, and Q, all these things were required, and we have calculated all of them. Now, if there is question about probability mass function, probability mass function. Now, this simply means we have to find out the probability in terms of x, because x is not known. Then we have to find out the probability mass function, that is a general function, and in that function, if we put the value of x, we will get the desired probability for that value. Let's say n is available, p is available, q is available, but x is not given, so we will write x as x only. So it will become probability mass function is equal to, the formula says ncx, p to the power of x, and q to the power of n minus x. So we will write 18cx 1 by 3 to the power of x and 2 by 3 to the power of 18 minus x. So this is simply probability mass function. Probability mass function. Okay. Great. Now we are talking about fitting a binomial distribution to the following data. Now we are having a data. Such kind of questions are not relevant for examination because these are the lengthy questions. But since it is there in the example, we can discuss it once. Fit a binomial distribution the following data. What is data? It is x, that is variable, and f means the frequency. So in order to fit the theoretical probability distribution to an observed frequency distribution, it is necessary to estimate the parameters of probability distribution. That means we have to calculate our basic things first. So what are those basic things, and what that formula is known as? So there is one theoretical question which can be asked, like what is the formula or what is the method for calculation of binomial distribution? The method is simply known as method of moments. The method of moments. This is a kind of theoretical question, and this is normally asked in examination. So for binomial, we have to remember the method is known as method of moments. So here, whenever there is a table given, x and f is given. So what we have to do, we have to find out the value, that is n, p, and on that p there is a sign which is known as hat or cap, we can say that. N into p cap is equal to x bar, is equal to x bar, or we can say that p cap is equal to x bar upon n, x bar upon n. So whenever such kind of distribution is given, such kind of table is given, we have to find out this p cap first. And after finding this p cap, what we have to do, we have to apply the formula ncx. Instead of p, we will write p cap. So p cap to the power of x and q cap to the power of n minus x. That means everything is okay, everything is same, just we have to write p cap. And what this p cap means, this p cap means x bar upon n, x bar upon n. So in this way we can calculate this probability of success, probability of success. So in this given question, what can be done? We can calculate x bar first. So how we calculate x bar? So we know that x bar is equal to sigma fx divided by sigma f. So in this way, we have calculated here, like fx we can calculate 0 into 3, 1 into 6, 2 into 10, and so on. So this average is basically 2.25. All right. Now, after calculating this x bar, we have to find out p cap. So p cap is x bar divided by n. So this is the first step. We are calculating x bar. So x bar is 2.25, and what is n? N means the total of the frequency. So we can divide with that, and what we are getting? We are getting 0.45. Okay. So here there are from 0 to 5. From 0 to 5, so we can divide with that, and we are getting 0.45. What about q cap? It is 1 minus 0.45, that is 0.55. And after this, we can apply our formula, that is ncx p to the power of x and q to the power of n minus x. We can apply this formula. All right. Now what we have to do, we have to just put the value of, instead of x, we have to place the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this function, what we have to do, we have to substitute the value as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So after substituting the value, we will get the desired result. Okay, we will get the required result. So such kind of questions are not relevant for examination, but since it was given here, we have discussed. Otherwise, it is not required for us. All right. So here p cap simply means the probability of success. All right, which is calculated by average, by using average, that is x bar. So in this question, what we have done, we have calculated P cap, that is probability of success. After that, Q cap, which is probability of failure. And then we have given a mass function with the help of X. Now what we have to do, we have to substitute the value of X, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And after putting all those values, we are getting the required probability. Now, if we are supposed to calculate the expected frequency, so what is expected frequency? Expected frequency simply means n multiplied by the probability. Capital N multiply with the probability. So what is capital N? That is the total of frequency. It is 32 multiplied by the respective probability. So what we have done, multiplied by 32. We have multiplied each and every probability with 32, and we have got the expected frequency. Expected frequency. So expected frequency is simply known as the theoretical frequency, and observed frequency means the actual frequency. Actual frequency. And there can be some of the differences between observed and theoretical frequency. Okay. Vishnudev is also asking about P cap. Yes, P cap simply means probability of success here. Okay, Meghna is asking about why here we have taken value of small n as 5. See, we are having two types of n. One is capital N and other one is small n. So this small n is representing the values of x. That means what is x, the required number. So x is up to 5. That means if we are tossing a 5 coins, then small n is maximum 5. If we are tossing 7 coins, then this small n is maximum 7. So this is the small n. But when we talk about the capital N means the total of frequency. That is summation of f, sigma f. Okay. For example, if we want to differentiate these two, let us take some example. We are talking about number of boxes and number of bottles. So boxes are coming under bottles, or bottles are coming in boxes. If there are number of boxes and number of bottles, so we know that bottles will come inside boxes. Bottle will come inside boxes. So that is why we will take number of bottles as a small n and number of boxes as capital N. Similarly, if we are talking about, say, tablets and bottles, so what will happen? Now we know that bottles are outside and tablets are inside the bottle. Tablets are inside the bottle. Now we can say that capital N is equal to number of bottles and small n is equal to number of tablets. So whatever is the outer area, that is denoted by capital N, and the inside one is denoted by smaller n. Okay, so here also the small n is 5 and capital N is the total frequency, which is 32. So whenever we have to calculate expected frequency, it is capital N multiplied by the probability. Okay, great. Now we will see this concept again here, small n and capital N. You can easily differentiate now. Example number 17.7. 6 coins are tossed 512 times. 6 coins are tossed 512 times. Find the expected frequency of the head. So here we have to calculate expected frequency. So probability is not our final result. Our final result is expected frequency. And expected frequency means capital N multiplied with probability. So frequency is equal to capital N multiplied by probability. So we have to find out what is capital N in this given question. So what is capital N in this given question? So now it says crystal diamond clear. That's great. So here in this question, you have to find out what is capital N and what is small n. So 6 coins are tossing 512 times. That means when we are tossing one time, 6 coin. Second time, 6 coin. 10 times, 6 coin. 512 times, 6 coins. That means 512 is the capital N. Capital N is equal to 500. And in each of these, we are tossing 6 coins. So small n is equal to 6. Now, what about P? Since it is head, so half. Q is also half. Now, find expected frequency of heads and also compute mean and standard deviation. So since X is not given and we have to compute the whole table, so X can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. All right. So let's do this. So what will be the probability mass function? It will be 6cx p, that is 1 by 2 to the power of x, then q 1 by 2 to the power of 6 minus x. 6 minus x. So since the base is same, we can add the power. So 6cx multiplied by 1 by 2 to the power of 6. So this is the basic function here. Now here we can put the value of x as 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So let's substitute the value. If we put 6c0, 1 by 2 to the power of 6, what will happen? It will become 1 by 64. 6c1, then it will become 6 by 64. 6c2, it will become 15 by 64, and so on. Okay. Rangana is asking about this is taking too much time. Is there any shortcut? See, Ranjana, these questions are not for the examination. We are discussing just for the conceptual clarity only. But such kind of question does not come in your examination. You don't have to prepare this big table. You will be asked just a part of it, just like those questions which we have discussed about. All right. So no need to worry on this. So similarly, we can calculate all these probability. Now we have to, if we have to calculate the expected frequency, so what we have to do, we have to multiply them with capital N, which is 512. So 1 by 64 multiplied by 512. Multiply them with 512. What we are getting, we will get this expected frequency. Expected frequency. All right. Now, whenever such kind of distribution is there, we can also find out standard deviation variance. You might have discussed this formula in the previous chapter, that is probability. Standard deviation is equal to expected value of x square minus expected value of x whole square and then under root. This is the formula for standard deviation. And if we remove the under root, it becomes variance. It becomes variance. So this was discussed in the previous chapter, probability. So expected value is nothing but summation of p into x, and expected value of x square is nothing but summation of p into x square. P into x square. All right. So in this case, x is simply what? X, because we are tossing 6 coins, so x is from 0 to 6. So from 0 to 6. So x is there. This fx is nothing but the probability. So if we multiply this p into x, what we are getting? We are getting the expected value. This is basically the expected value ex. And when we multiply px into x, px multiplied by x, we are getting expected value of x square. So this is equal to 10.5. So if we apply here, standard deviation will be root of 10 minus 5 multiplied by 3 square. So it will become root of 1.5 and variance will be 1.5. All right, but these questions are directly not relevant for our examination because these are very much lengthy questions. All right. Okay, somebody is asking about the power. Here, see the power is x and 6 minus x. So when we add them, x plus 6 minus x and x get cancelled. So we are getting power as 6. Okay. All right. Now we are coming towards the next question, which is 17.8. An experiment succeeds thrice as after it fails. Now this is the key line for the given question. An experiment is succeeding 3 times and after 3 times it is getting failed. If the experiment is repeated 5 times, what is the probability of having no success at all? No success at all. So see here, there is a ratio of success and failure. There is 3 times success, and after 3 times of success, there is 1 time failure. 1 time failure. All right. So this 17.8 question is important from the exam point of view, and the previous question which we did, the lengthy ones, are not at all relevant for exam. So in this 17.8, 3:1 is the ratio for success and failure. So can we calculate the probability of success here? It is simply 3 divided by the total, that is 4. And what is the probability of failure? That is 1 divided by 4. So probability of success and probability of failure. If the experiment is repeated 5 times, so we are doing experiment for 5 times, n is equal to 5. What is the probability of having no success at all? We don't require success. Then what is the value of x? X is equal to 0. No success means x equal to 0. Now we are having all the 4 values, so it is very much easy to solve. 5c0, 3 by 4 to the power of 0, and 1 by 4 to the power of 5. So what we are getting? 1 divided by 4 to the power of 5. So 1 upon 1024. 1 upon 1024. This is the final result. Rajshri is correct. Yes, Rajshri, you have given the correct answer. All right. This is 17.8. Now, in case of binomial distribution, we have to calculate mode. Now, how to calculate mode in case of binomial distribution? Let us discuss this. Calculation of mode. So there is first point, if n plus 1 into p is a whole number. If n plus 1 into p is a whole number, let's say k, then mod is equal to k and k minus 1. There will be two modes, that is k and k minus 1. If n plus 1 into p is a whole number, then there are two modes, k and k minus 1. And second, if n plus 1 into p is not a whole number, if it is not a whole number, then mod, here we can write it as not a whole number, say k plus f, then mod is equal to k. Then mod is equal to k. So this is the concept for calculation of mod. So let us take the example. If n is equal to, let's say 14, and probability is equal to 1 by 3. So we have to find out mod n plus 1 into p. So 14 plus 1 into 1 by 3, this becomes 5. Now 5 is a whole number. 5 is a whole number. So mod will be k, that is 5, and k minus 1, that is 5 minus 1, 4. So whenever there is a whole number, there are two modes. Here this is 5 and 4. 5 and 4. And if say n is equal to 13 and p is equal to 1 by 3, then what will happen? 13 plus 1 multiplied by 1 by 3. So what will happen now? It will be 4.66. 4.66. This is not a whole number. So what we have to do? We have to ignore the decimal portion. So ignore this 0.66 part. So what will be mod? Mod equal to k, that is simply 4. Simply 4. All right. So this is the formula for calculation of mod. So in case of binomial distribution, we can say that it is unimodal or bimodal. Binomial distribution can be unimodal or bimodal. Unimodal means having one mode. Bimodal means having two modes. So we have seen here both cases are there. So binomial is unimodal or bimodal. All right. Okay now. Okay, somebody was asking, Priyanka was asking about how we got 3 upon 4. See, Priyanka, this is probability. So from ratio, we can calculate the probability. Like from here, we can write it as 3 divided by 3 plus 1. So 3 upon 4. And similarly for Q, it is 1 upon 3 plus 1. That is 1 by 4. Okay. Now we are doing 17.9. 17.9. What is the mode of the distribution for which mean and standard deviation are 10 and root 5 respectively? So we have to calculate mode. Given is mean as 10 and standard deviation as root 5. So we know that for mode, we have to calculate n plus 1 into p. So n is not given, p is not given in the question. So first of all, we have to find out n as well as p. दोनों हमें calculate करने पड़ेंगे. So this type of question we already know. Mean, that means NP is equal to 10. This is the first equation. Standard deviation, root of NPQ is equal to root of 5. Now squaring both sides, we are getting NPQ as 5. So since NP is equal to 10, we can substitute the value of NP here. 10Q equal to 5. So Q will become 1 by 2. Q will become 1 by 2. Similarly, what will be P? 1 minus 1 by 2. That is 1 by 2. This is P. So in this way, we have calculated P. Now we have to calculate N. So what is N? So N multiplied by half equal to 10. N becomes 20. So N is also available now. Now we have to calculate mode. So 20 plus 1 multiplied by the probability. How much we are getting? 10.5. So 10.5 is not a whole number. It is not a whole number. So what will be mode? We have to ignore this 0.5 and mode will be equal to 10. Mode will be 10. All right. Rajshri is asking about mean and mode are equal in binomial. No. Mean and mode are not equal in case of binomial. They are equal in case of normal distribution, which we will study on 8th of September. All right. Day after tomorrow. So in this question, we have found out the value of mode. Okay. Now let us take some more the more theoretical concept here. Yes. Now we have to discuss this additive property of binomial distribution. Additive property. What this property is saying? If x and y are two independent variables such that. Now what is this written? Here it is written x follows that. This symbol means follows. X follows. B is for binomial distribution with parameters n1, p. All right. So this is the meaning of the whole statement. X follows binomial distribution with parameters n1, p. Y follows binomial distribution with parameters n2, p. So if x follows, y follows, then their sum will also follow. So then x plus y will also follow binomial distribution with parameters n1 plus n2, p. n1 plus n2, p. So these will be the parameters for x plus y. That means p will remain same and n we have to add. So if x follows binomial, y follows binomial, then their sum will also follow binomial distribution. Okay. Now, what are the practical applications of binomial distribution? What are the practical applications of binomial distribution? So what we are doing? Binomial distribution is applicable when the trials are independent, this we have discussed, and each trial has two outcomes. that is success and failure. This also we have discussed. So these are the conditions for binomial. So it is applied in coin tossing experiments. In what kind of experiments we have to use binomial? Coin tossing experiments or dice tossing experiment or sampling inspection plan or genetic experiment and so on. That means we have to calculate it in such places where probability is having some value. That means probability is not having the negligible value. If say probability is very less, that means close to zero, at that point of time Poisson distribution will be applicable, that we will be discussing in tomorrow's class. So in binomial distribution, probability is not very less, it is like a average value. It can be anything, a bigger value or a greater value. Just like we are talking about probability is having half, it is 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 2. So such kind of values are there. But when the value is 0.01 or 0.001, it becomes very less. So when it becomes very less, then that distribution is known as the Poisson distribution. So here the probability is normal. So binomial is applied in case of coin experiments, then dice experiments, or sampling inspection. See, sampling, what is basically sampling? For example, if a person is having some problem in his body and he is going for a checkup to doctor, and now the doctor says we have to test your blood. We have to test your blood. Now there are two options with that person. He can give 5 ml blood to the doctor for the testing, or like he will give the complete blood to the doctor and he will say like check the whole blood and that again insert the blood in the evening. So that is not possible. He will simply give 5 ml blood to the doctor and the doctor will test whether this 5 ml blood is having any kind of problem or not, any kind of virus or bacteria is there or not, it is getting infected or not. So whenever we are talking about some of the samples, we have to test the samples at that places binomial is used. Similarly, many kind of inspection goes on in the production units. For example, we know about Maggie. Few years back there was inspection in the company Nestle, and for the Maggie that it is having lead or not, how much content is there. So similarly, this kind of things goes on in practical life in factories, industries, or the production units. So there binomial is basically used. Now let us come to the last illustration, which is 10th. Here it says, if x and y are two independent binomial variables with parameter 6 and 1 by 2, 4 and 1 by 2 respectively, then what is the probability of x plus y greater than equal to 1? So since we are talking about x plus y, so x follows binomial with parameter 6 and half, y follows binomial with parameter 4 and half, then x plus y will also follow binomial with parameter 6 plus 4, that is 10, and then half, and then half. All right, so this become the parameter. So what are the two parameters? This 10 is known as basically the n, and second parameter is p. So we are having n, we are having p. So if p is half, that means q is also half. Q is also half. N is 10. Now what is required? X plus y should be more than equal to 1. That means what is our requirement? 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and so on. So whenever this kind of situation is there, this means at least 1. Whenever it is more than equal to 1, it means at least 1. And whenever there is a case of at least 1, we are having the shortcut, that means probability of none. Probability of none. So 1 minus probability of none means x equal to 0. So 1 minus 10c0, 1 by 2 to the power 0, and 1 by 2 to the power of 10. So what will happen? 1 upon 2 to the power of 10. So 1023 divided by 1024. So this is the final result. All right. So this is example number 10. So this is basically the whole binomial distribution which we have discussed today. Now we will be taking some of the questions from exercise. Let's see some of the questions. Poisson we are doing tomorrow on 7th, and normal distribution we are doing day after tomorrow, that is on 8th. So here there are some of the theoretical questions and then the practical ones. So I'm moving towards the practical questions. Yes. Question number 1. What is the standard deviation of the number of recoveries among 48 patients when the probability of recovering is 0.75? So see here, how we will know that which formula to apply. The question is asking about standard deviation. What is given? Number of patients and probability is given. So we know that the formula for standard deviation is equal to n into p. So n is given, p is also given. Simply apply the formula and get the result. Okay, always see the given things and apply formula according to the given situation. So 48 multiplied by 0.75, how much it becomes? It comes as 36. Option number A. Now there is one more thing which we have to discuss here. Like there is a term which is known as symmetrical distribution. Symmetrical distribution. Symmetrical distribution. Now what this symmetrical distribution means? Symmetrical distribution means whenever we are talking about such kind of distribution where rise in the value of distribution and fall in the value of distribution is equal. That means the both pattern are similar. Increasing pattern is same as the decreasing pattern. So in statistical term, we say that whenever P and Q are equal, whenever P and Q are equal, the distribution is known as symmetrical. And when P and Q are equal, we know that both of them, the value will be 1 by 2 because their sum is always equal to 1. P plus Q is always equal to 1. So whenever both are half, then the distribution is known as symmetrical distribution. So 1 by 2 plus 1 by 2 is equal to 1. It is equal to 1. Okay, so when the distribution is symmetrical, we get the highest value for variance. We get highest value for variance. Now let us check this. Let us check this. If say we are having n as 20, n is 20, P is 1 by 2. If P is 1 by 2, then Q becomes also 1 by 2. Now, what is the formula for variance? Variance is NPQ. N is 20, P is half, Q is half. What will be variance? Variance is equal to 5. Variance is equal to 5. If we have taken P as 1 by 3, what will be Q? Q will be automatically 2 by 3. Now what about variance? 20 into 1 by 3 into 2 by 3. Now see how much it becomes. It comes as 40 divided by 9. 40 divided by 9. That means 4.44. If we take P as 1 by 4, Q will be 3 by 4. So what will happen to variance? So it will become 20 upon 5, that is 4. That means what all other values we take, it will be less than 5. So here, what is our conclusion? Variance is having maximum value when P is equal to Q is equal to 0.5. When both are equal, when their value is half, then the variance is maximum. So if the value of number is n, P is half, Q is also half, then the maximum value of variance becomes n upon 4. N upon 4. So what is the maximum value of variance? It means n upon 4. If say n is 100, then maximum value of variance will be 100 upon 4, 25. If n is 120, so 120 by 4, it becomes 30. 30 is the maximum value of variance. All right. So whenever P is equal to Q, variance will have the maximum value. And this situation is known as symmetrical distribution. Okay. All right. So here in this first question, this is basically what we have calculated is the mean n into P. And if we have to calculate the standard deviation, we have to find out root of NPQ. NPQ. So what is N? N is 48. What is P? It is 0.75. And what about Q? It will become 0.25. 0.25. So if mean was asked, the answer was 30. But if standard deviation is asked, we have to solve this equation. So what will happen? 48 multiplied by 0.75 multiplied by 0.25. It will become the root of 9, that is 3. So 3 will be standard deviation. And 36 is basically mean. All right. Now, second question, x is a binomial variable. X is a binomial variable with n is equal to 20. N is given as 20. What is the mean of x? If it is known that x is symmetric. If it is known that x is symmetric. Now the question is saying symmetric. Whenever it says symmetric, that means P is equal to Q is equal to half. So we have to find out mean. So for mean, it is n into P. N is 20 and P is half. So it comes as 10. So mean is equal to 10. All right. Similarly, in third question, x follows binomial with parameters n comma p. What would be greatest value of variance? Now you can answer here. Greatest value of variance. So variance is equal to n by 4. So 16 upon 4 becomes 4. 16 upon 4 becomes 4. Now fourth one we have already done. Parameter are 15 and 1 by 3. We have to find out the value of mode. So 15 plus 1 upon 3. 15 plus 1 upon 3. It comes as how much? 5 point something. That means it is a decimal value. We have to ignore the decimal. The answer will be 5. Then question number 5 also you can do it now easily because mean is given, standard deviation is given, and we have to find out n. Sixth one, what is the probability of getting 3 heads if 6 unbiased coins are tossed simultaneously? So it is very crystal clear question. We have practiced this also. N is 6, x equal to 3, and probability of success is half, q is also half. So this we can do it easily. Now the seventh one. Here you have to see the values. Here you have to check out the values, what is given. If the overall percentage of success in an examination is 60, what is the probability that out of a group of 4 students at least one has passed? At least one has passed. So in this question it says percentage of success. That means P is 60%, or we can say 0.6. So automatically failure will become 40%, or say 0.4. Now there is a group of 4 students. That means n is equal to 4. What about x? At least one has to pass. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, it is the value of x. But what is the shortcut way? Probability of at least one is equal to 1 minus probability of none. That means we have to take x equal to 0. So 1 minus 4c is 0, 0.6 to the power 0, and then 0.4 to the power of 4. You can solve this and get the result. So how much we are getting? 0.9744. All right. Now let us do one more question, and after it, the questions are from Poisson distribution. So what about this eighth one? What is the probability of 3 correct guesses in 5 true false answer type questions? So there are 5 true false answer type question. So since there are 5 questions, we can say that n is equal to 5. We require 3 correct answer, so x is equal to 3. But now what about p and q? What is the probability of success and failure? So we know that there are only 2 options, true or false. So chances of getting correct answer is 50%, and wrong answer also it is 50%, because there are 2 options. So 1 by 2 and 1 by 2. Now you can apply the formula 5c3, 1 by 2 to the power 3, and also 1 by 2 to the power of 2. So it becomes 10 upon 32. 10 divided by 32. In decimal, it can be written as 0.3125. All right. Okay, all perfect. So this was binomial distribution. Okay, these were the 8 questions we discussed. So in the first question, we had calculated standard deviation and as well as mean. Mean was 36, but standard deviation is 3. In second one, we have discussed about symmetric distribution. Symmetric is when P is equal to Q. And when both are equal, variance is maximum. And what is the formula for maximum variance? It is n upon 4, which we have discussed just now. Then we have calculated mode in the next question, and then some of the case study based questions. So these are all binomial distribution. So this was from set B. Similarly, there are some questions from set C, which also you can try. Let's say question number first. If it is known that the probability of a missile hitting a target is 1 by 8, hitting a target, this is the probability of success. What is the probability of that out of 10 missiles fired, at least 2 will hit the target? So what are the values? So P will be 1 upon 8. Q will automatically become 7 by 8. What about X? At least 2 will hit the target. At least 2 means 2, 3, 4, and so on up to 10, because n is equal to 10. But for solving, what we have to do? 1 minus probability of X equal to 0 and 1. This is the shortcut way to solve. All right. This can be done. Similarly, you can try second question. This kind of questions we have done. So in all such kind of questions, what you have to do? You have to basically find out first 4 values, and after finding out the 4 values, you have to apply the formula.